Hi, my name is Evgenii Vinogradov, or Genia, and in this video I will explain our work, which is going to be published by IEEE and going to be presented in IEEE Global Communications Conference in Rio in 2022. From this video you will learn what drone remote ID is, how it is used, and how it should evolve in the future. And second, how we can pack more drones into the national airspace without compromising safety.
Bate forte o tambor, eu quero é tique 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 tá. Bate forte o tambor, eu quero é tique 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 tá. É nessa dança que meu boi balança e o povão de fora vem para brincar. É nessa dança que meu boi balança e o povão de fora vem para brincar. As barrancas de terras caídas faz barrento nosso rio mar. As barrancas de terras caídas faz barrento nosso rio mar. Amazonas, rio da minha vida, a imagem tão linda que meu Deus criou. Fez o céu, a mata e a terra, uniu os caboclos, construiu amor. Fez o céu, a mata e a terra, uniu os caboclos.
The number of UAV applications is growing. If you follow tech industry news, then you definitely heard of drone delivery, infrastructure inspection, light shows, aerial photography, and maybe even flying cars. The authors of this paper calculated that by 2035 almost 200,000 flights per hour will be performed in Paris. On average it's 63 flights per square kilometer, but definitely there will be more dense areas. You still have a few years, so that go and take a nice picture of this beautiful city before it becomes like this. But honestly, I really hope that we will have a set of rules to regulate where drones can fly, how close they can approach buildings, people, or each other in order to remain safe. We will need drone traffic management system to ensure safe and fair access to airspace. Currently, several UTM systems are under design. Check this survey and this paper for more details. In this video, I will focus on two core issues for conflict management for UTM. Separation distances, meaning how far the drones should be from each other, and what information should be shared between the drones. In this work, I rely on vast experience accumulated by manned aviation, however, adapted for drones. I will also demonstrate that the distance and information sharing actually depend on each other. But first, let's see how manned aviation dealt with these issues and what we can learn from there. By the way, for more lessons learned, you can check this paper and this tutorial available on YouTube, but it was given during IEEE Vehicular Technology Conference in 2021. In manned aviation there are several safety volumes. Unfortunately, I do not have time to explain them all in detail, so let's focus on the one which is most relevant for this work. Near mid-air collision, or uNMAC, is an encounter in which the horizontal separation between two aircraft is less than 150 meters and the vertical separation is less than 30 meters. By coincidence, this volume corresponds to the sum of wingspans of a manned aircraft. These dimensions are used to calculate other larger volumes used in aviation. uNMAC works well for manned aviation. However, do we really need to keep vehicles like this 150 meters away from each other? Indeed, it seems very safe, but on the other hand, it may result in over-conservative estimations of some commercial applications potential, for instance, drone delivery. Later in this video, I will show how we can reduce the separation distances while preserving the safety levels. But how do planes exchange their position? There is a technology called ADS-B. Every plane has a transponder which is used to broadcast its coordinate estimated over satellites, GPS. Can we use ADS-B for drones? There are many reasons why we must not do this. Probably the main one is that we do not want many drones to interfere with the radius used by manned aircraft. It seems very unsafe, right? For drones, we will use the remote ID message broadcast over Wi-Fi, Bluetooth or 4G, 5G. The remote ID is currently not mandatory, however, all drones will be required to have remote ID by September 2023 and January 2024 to have access to the national airspace in the US and the European Union. A few key points to learn and remember. Remote ID messages should be broadcasted directly from the drone via radio frequency broadcast. Existing personal wireless devices must be able to receive it. That's why I listed Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, 4G and 5G. Remote ID message includes UAV ID, serial number of the drone or session ID, 3D coordinates and velocity of the UAV, coordinates of control station or radio controller, emergency status and time mark. Next, the range of remote ID broadcast may vary depending on the application. And finally, a remote ID broadcast cannot be disabled by the operator. Moreover, drones shall not take off without the remote ID, so that they must self-test before the flight. Okay, great. We know what information is shared between the drones. Now let's see how we can use it for keeping drones at a safe distance from each other. Moreover, in this video I will get a bit more critical and inspect if remote ID will be enough for large-scale drone operations. A tiny spoiler: no. Remote ID will have to evolve and include some additional information to enable higher density of flights. Let's see what can influence the safety bubble around the drone. Remote ID contains information about the coordinates, but this is just a spot, a point in the space. As we can see, there is also airframe around the point. And we also know that drone size can vary a lot. It can go from several centimeters to meters. And this information definitely would be very useful if our goal to avoid collisions. Let's put this as the first entry to our list. GPS gives you coordinates. However, this estimation is never perfect. Consequently, the drone can be anywhere within this area. The size of this area depends on the accuracy of the GPS module that you have. Luckily, majority of GPS modules can report their accuracy. And let's put this as the second entry to the list. Now let's imagine a very likely situation that the drone is moving. Let's assume that we have a drone moving with a speed of 5 meters per second and we broadcast our position every second. Consequently, the drone can be anywhere within this area. If the direction of mobility is not known, then the drone can be anywhere within this area. I am much larger than the drone, but I still feel insignificant in comparison to this area. As you saw, the direction can help us to reduce the uncertainty area size. However, we can also broadcast our position more frequently. For instance, if we do it every 100 milliseconds instead of 1 second, we can reduce the size of uncertainty area just like this. The question here, what is better? To broadcast our position more frequently or to broadcast our direction? Let's put this in the list as well. Now, let's assume that we have two drones. You probably spotted some similarity with uNMAC, which I mentioned while talking about unmanned aviation. Let me call this large circle as UAV NMAC or uNMAC. The next question is how large it actually should be. For general engineers, maybe it's more intuitive to think about it in terms of how far two drones should be from each other not to collide. For simplicity, in this video I will focus on this line and this distance. For defining inter-drone separation, let's have a better look into the individual components contributing to the separation distances, namely drone size, GPS error, and the uncertainty caused by drone mobility. Sorry, I must use some statistics here, but I will keep it simple in the video. For more details, refer the paper. As I said earlier, drones can be very small or quite large. To account for this variety of airframe sizes, we use uniform distribution to model it. The maximum size of 7.5 meters is taken from a database. More details can be found in this work. Secondly, we modeled the localization error. Typically, GPS accuracy is modeled using a normal distribution with a certain standard deviation taken from the positioning standards. Since we do not know the angular component of the error and only interested in the separating distance, then we should not use the normal distribution, but rather this distribution, which is called half normal, because it suits our purpose better. Next, drone speeds are modeled as normally distributed random variable with the mean depending on the cruise speed and standard deviation dependent on the maximum speeds reported by the drone manufacturers. To estimate the distance traveled by drone, we also need time. Different wireless technologies offer different broadcast rates. In the paper, we listed the most popular ones. In brief, we can send our information very frequently, like 100, 1000 times per second, or we can do it once per second. So we're quite flexible here. Now we have all the needed components for a single drone. Next, we have 2 drones and sum everything up. We derived the corresponding probability distributions, but I will not show them in this video. Check the paper, because they're quite large. Let's see the influence of sharing different information between drones. If we do not know the actual airframe size, we should assume the 2 largest drones to be on the safe side. If we do not know the actual localization error, we should assume the worst possible error for both drones. Finally, let's assume that we broadcast our data once per second. However, the actual airframe size is smaller and follows this distribution. Moreover, if we share the actual localization error, the separation distance becomes much smaller. We go from this to this. In other words, instead of 80 meters, we have the error distributed as shown in the figure below. Finally, if we broadcast messages more frequently, we can reduce the separation distance even further. In the paper, we also demonstrated that knowing the movement direction is beneficial, but only for relatively low broadcasting rates. If we broadcast it once or twice per second, that's fine. However, by reducing the broadcasting rate to 100 milliseconds, we make this information irrelevant. To summarize this work, let me list the key points. First, drone separation depends on airframe size, localization error, drone velocity, and broadcasting rate. Second, next generation remote ID will need to contain information about the GPS error. 3. Information about movement direction is relevant, but only for low broadcasting rate. And finally, the fourth one, increasing the broadcasting rate is highly beneficial. Consequently, we recommend to use Bluetooth for short flights, Wi-Fi or 5G NR Sidelink for remote ID. Thank you very much for watching. Do not hesitate to email me in case if you have any questions, feedback or ideas to extend this work. See you in Rio. Bye!